indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now we've got the video working. Okay, to very briefly go over the procedures of the zoning board. The meeting tonight, as every night, is divided into two parts. During the first half, we will hear public hearings on each of the applications before us. During this, we'll ask the applicant to come forward and to be sworn in. All testimony before the ZBA has to be sworn testimony. And at that point, we'll ask the applicant to very briefly outline the project that is the subject of the application. Members of the board will then have an opportunity to ask questions about that. Once the board has asked questions, the floor will be open to anyone from the general public that wishes to speak on that particular application. After we've completed the public hearing, we will then go to the deliberation phase of the meeting. During that part of the meeting, there's no further public input, but people are, of course, welcome to stay and watch the deliberations and our voting. Okay, we've got a short agenda tonight, but for the record, two of our regular members were unable to attend, and therefore we will only have 6 voting members. Okay, item number 1, Wendy's Corporation at 753 Main Street. Okay. Oh, all right. Thank you. So,
Yep.
all right. Okay, well, we're passing these along. If you'd each just state your names and then be sworn in.
Shannon Mulcahy with TJM and Associates, the property owner.
Ken Shaw, SHAW, Wendy's Corporation.
I see that there's a document allowing the civil engineer to appear.
I have no idea what.
If you have the owner of the property here.
All right. Do you each swear or affirm the testimony provided tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
I do.
Very well.
Oh, good evening. And so,
Great.
you tell us just a little bit about the project.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. As you all know, we were here previously to remodel the Wendy's restaurant on Main Street. We received all our approvals for everything with the exception of the main road sign. We've completed our remodel with the exception of the spring work, landscaping and sprucing up, top coating of parking lot and other miscellaneous things. And we're open operating for business. When we last left off, there was some questions in reference to the main road sign. And if you would refer to the illustration, what we have shown simply as the left picture is the existing road sign as it existed since the restaurant opened. It's been there through the original application. And our proposal is to change the plastic out of the existing road sign, which will allow us to have our new Wendy's representation of the plastic. There's no increasing of the sign, there's no increasing of anything. And basically that's what we're here tonight, is to receive approval for changing that out.
Okay. As you may know, the Main Street in the town of Poughkeepsie is a county road. And in that case, we're required to send our applications to the county for their review. And so they have responded. And let me, I'll need to read this letter into the record, and then you can comment. To Zoning Board of Appeals, Town of Poughkeepsie. The Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development has reviewed the submitted referral for countywide and intermunicipal impacts as outlined in general municipal law. Action. The applicant is requesting to reface an existing non-conforming freestanding sign. An interpretation is being sought that would determine the proposed sign changes as of, quote, similar or less nonconformity, unquote. As an alternative, the applicant seeks an area variances to allow a freestanding sign 15 feet in height and 55.82 feet in area, where code permits a freestanding sign 12 feet in height and 12 square feet in area. The property is located within the Arlington Town Center zoning district. Comment. The applicant has proposed a sign that is more than 4 times what is allowed by code. The reader board below the Wendy's logo comprises nearly 14 square feet in area. It has been noted that other Wendy's locations in the area do not maintain reader boards on their freestanding sign. Removal of this component would reduce the height of the sign by 2 feet and would be more in keeping with the town's sign standards. In addition, the base of the sign should be mounted in a monument base as per code. Recommendation. For the reasons stated above, we recommend the board not grant the requested variances until the following condition has been met. 1. The height of the sign be reduced by the elimination of the feature board component of the proposed sign. Voting and reporting requirements. If the board acts contrary to our recommendation, the law requires that it do so by a majority plus 1 of the full membership of the board, and that it notify us of the reasons for its decision. Signed, Owen Rafter, Commissioner, by Janet Tissier, Junior Planner. Okay, so that's the situation we're under. So in order to approve a new sign would require 5 votes. So that's, so, I mean, do you want to comment on the issue of this, of the, I guess they call it the feature board or the reader board or whatever, I'm not sure what the technical term is.
It's a reader board.
Reader board.
So the structure of the sign is to take the reader board off does not lower the sign. So that's the sign is a physical structure that's there. It's been there. It's all one solid structure. It's not pieced together where you can lower panels. It's all part of that. So it's physically impossible to lower the existing structure that's there. And there again constitute, if the sign comes down and it's no longer grandfathered under the. So I guess if we understand it right, if we did nothing, then the sign to the left will remain and stay there. We're proposing to try to upgrade the face of the sign, and therefore it's not a structural thing for us. We've evaluated and addressed carefully what some people would like is to conform with a small monument sign. But what makes it very difficult for us, and you can kind of see in the background, we have competition with Taco Bell, which just recently remodeled, so they're not going to be changing anything in the short time. Across the street, we have a Kentucky Fried Chicken. All of us have the same type of sign. So I do many of these. So if we went into a particular application where the entire Main Street was a 40 square foot monument sign, from the standpoint of our advertising and the drive-by public of subliminary seeing signage, they'd all be seeing everything equal. So they would see it. So in all fairness, if we were to take the sign down and put a monument, we wouldn't bother even doing it because the customer would not visually see the small sign versus 2 larger competition signs there. So that's why that isn't even an option for us. We would, our wish would be to have our existing sign refaced to conform with the upgrade that we did of the entire facility, and it'll all match and be in conformance with the area that's there. Secondly, if that is denied, then we'd obviously just leave the sign there as is. And the third option of putting a monument, it's not, it would be the size of our entrance exit signs as that the Popeyes down the road, and nobody would even see it or acknowledge it, so it would be a waste to put it up. So that's kind of where we're at. You know, it's kind of been passed, everybody's been kind of keep moving this to try to get to the finish line with it. And we've seriously taken into consideration all this, you know, everything. And we even went out there and spent money with a sign company to actually build a box and put it there, the sign of it. And we drive up and down the road and we visually see it. It just, that doesn't, you know, you don't see the Dunkin' Donuts sign either. They don't see it. But they were kind of forced to do it because they were a brand new use. They weren't remodeling. So that's kind of what we're trying to present today. There's really not a lot of, you know.
Okay, all right. Okay, Christine, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Okay, Paul?
Just so I'm clear, the height is exactly the same, all the dimensions are exactly the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Art?
Their sign on South Road is the same sign. They had the reader board. McDonald's has a reader board. I don't know if that's town or city. They have the same exact thing. So I don't see what the county has a problem with. The Wendy's on South Road has the exact same sign as the yellow one.
Okay,
They got a reader board, so I'm okay with this.
okay.
How big is the county sign, by the way, down here? How big is the county sign in front of their building? Did they get approval for that? Just curious.
The county? No, the county never gets approval for anything.
There you go. Okay.
I mean,
Okay, just curious. Ask them.
I'm surprised that comes as a shock to you.
I did not know that, but, you know, just ask them.
Tony?
I have no questions.
Phyllis?
No questions.
Okay. Just so that I understand, if you were to do away with the reader board, okay, and of course, Taco Bell and Kentucky Fried Chicken have not reader boards. What you would have to physically replace the entire structure.
Well, you see the bottom portion on the right is white. It's all part of the sign. Now, let's be clear. The reader board, it's the physical structure. If it turned out where the reader board was preventing the sign from being, and I can only probably recommend I put a panel in there that has nothing. You know what I mean? If it's the lettering on a reader board that constitutes the reader board, I mean, I can look more into it. Let me point to it.
Watch out. Watch out.
This is, a lot of times people think if I put up there as instruction, this is all one connecting piece. So it would take a lot of construction to rip it down, and then you'd have to finish the pole. This thing here would all have to be redone under it. I mean, is it physically possible? Yes, absolutely. Everything's physically possible. In other applications, because I've been before them where, you know, they constitute the reader board as part of the square footage because it has the lettering on it.
Right.
They've asked me to put either a red panel or a dark brown panel, and it's not part of the red or part of the Wendy's, and that's physically possible also, meaning that in the proposal, you would see this as your sign. This would be a brown panel as on the other side. It would not be illuminated, so it would not be lit, and it would just be almost part of the structure that holds that sign up, which then would be incorporated as a structure.
Okay.
I mean, that's an option, or being told we can't put any letters on it and leave it white. Right.
I'm looking at our council. I believe that would still be part of the square footage of the sign in our code.
I think that you count the perimeter
Right.
that encloses I think it's the smallest rectangle that encloses the letters, but I'll look while you deliberate.
But it still doesn't resolve the height issue.
No, it
No, it
doesn't
doesn't,
change the
no.
height. The only thing it would change is the changeable copy, if anybody were objecting to
And,
that.
and the part that we were like kind of focusing on, which we think was constantly getting confused, was we do clearly understand is that what constitutes a change in the sign? So if the sign was to be moved, then you play by the new rules. If the sign was to be taken down, you play by the new. So we tried to limit everything. And then we were trying to convince everybody that if it was vandalized tomorrow and somebody threw a brick through it, and the whole panel came down completely, and they didn't make the 30-year-old panel that was there, and I had to put in a new panel, would I be allowed to do that with a permit? So we're just trying to be open and honest of reality, is we're changing
Yeah.
the panel that
Okay.
was there. So that's why we didn't touch anything. We didn't want to go and pull and fabricate and pull the the reader board off, because that would almost then say, that's major construction into your sign. So we basically did nothing, like leave it so everybody knew what it looked like for 30 plus years, and we want to reface it.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, I do have a question. Do you need the reader board?
No.
Because it seems to me that if you got rid of that reader board, that would make it less non-conforming.
Yes.
If in fact,
Why? How
that
would-
was,
How?
because it'd be less square feet. It would still exceed the height, but it would have less square feet than it exists now,
That's quite right.
so.
And if it helps,
I
we're
don't know
telling
that
you.
it's necessary, but
Well,
I don't,
it would make it less non-conforming.
and I think it helps
But it's,
in the sense that it's then a cleaner sign, I think. It still identifies, where Wendy's is, and people know and recognize that logo, so I don't think you're.
Yeah, no,
We're not losing a lot of
The main
information.
sign is the most important to our business.
Okay. So if we added a condition that just said that the reader board would be eliminated, then what you would do is slide in some kind of background color there.
Well, it's only a panel. I would make it
Just,
a brown panel to match the bottom pole, so it would look like a structure that's holding up the red, white sign above. Because you're not calculating this portion of it.
yeah,
If you notice on your picture, there's a
yeah.
portion there, that's not calculated
Right.
into the sign piece
Yeah.
of it, so.
Well, and I think from our point of view, the advantage to that would be, first of all, it's clearly less non-conforming. So it moves in the right direction. And I think also, in terms of just that whole stretch of Main Street, as you've pointed out, there are a lot of signs that were approved 30 years ago. They're big. They were designed for kind of a different era when Main Street was a different kind of a street. And this, I think, would help declutter and kind of improve the look of the street, which is what the new code was trying to do when it was adopted 10 years ago.
to answer your question from earlier,
Yeah.
signs shall be measured in accordance with the following methods. Sign measurement shall be based upon the entire area of the sign with a single continuous perimeter enclosing the extreme limits of the actual sign surface.
So making the bottom panel solid doesn't make it less non-conforming.
Well, that's an interpretation for the board as to whether a solid panel is part of the sign surface or not.
It's part of the perimeter.
The Holiday Inn on Route 9 has that big, wide base that goes
Right.
all the way up. Quite clearly, we did not determine that that was part of the sign.
Yeah, my recollection, I have to go back, is that in recent years, we've essentially enclosed the lettering.
I think that's appropriate, and I think that's what we have done.
Okay. Well, it seems to me we've kind of come to a little consensus here that the structure as it is okay. Removing the reader board, in our interpretation, in our determination, because that's actually what's at stake here, we find this to be less nonconforming and therefore approved. Is that?
I have no problem with the bottom section of the sign, to tell you the truth. I don't see where it would make any difference whatsoever. Again, the one on South Road has it. Is McDonald's in the town or the city on Main Street? Is that city?
City.
City.
Forget McDonald's.
City,
Okay.
yeah.
Arlington has all these signboards out in front of their restaurants now anyway, and I thought,
Well, we've been, but some of the reader boards have been eliminated.
my opinion, I have no problem with it.
Okay,
It's a direct replacement, and I'm good with it.
okay. Okay, any other questions? There's no one in the audience, so we,
Yes, there is.
or at least no one seems to be clamoring to speak here. Okay, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Recusals? Okay, thank you very much. All right, item number 2. Where is it? Okay. Danny Petrizzo from Planet Wings and Pizza Ibero, 830 Main Street.
Hi, how you doing? Good evening.
Okay, if you just state your name into the microphone, please.
Danny Petrizzo.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony provided tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Very well.
Okay, the county thing, there he is. Okay, so you want to give us a little background on?
Yes, for the past like 9 months, we've been trying to, we were out on Route 44, we had Planet Wings that had the fire that turned into Verizon. So we purchased property down the road at the old Catskill Hudson Bank, and we wanted to do a dual concept that we have in Middletown. So it's Planet Wings, what we had on 44 with the bar, like, we kind of like altered it and added pizza and a bar. So it's 2 separate businesses going to be put down there. We got our approvals to expand the building, and you see the design of it. And we just wanted to get an extra sign because it actually is a tough corner of visibility. Like, we had to do a lot with the highway department about parking spots and whatever, visibility is difficult. So we're just proposing that we need 1 extra sign to cover and make it look as beautiful as we portrayed on the plan, where it's just visible due to a difficult spot.
Okay. Again, we've had to submit this to the county for their comments, and let me just read this into the record, and then you can comment. 2, Zoning Board of Appeals, Town of Poughkeepsie. The Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development has reviewed the submitted referral for countywide and intermunicipal impacts as outlined in general municipal law. Action. Town code permits 1 wall sign not to exceed 15 square feet. The applicant is seeking variances to permit 4 wall signs as follows. 1, a wall sign 18.08 square feet on the east elevation reading Pizza Bureau. 2, 1 wall sign 36 square feet on the west elevation reading Planet Wings. And 3, 1 wall sign of 18.01 square feet and 1 wall sign of 36 square feet on the north elevation reading Planet Wings and Pizza Bureau, respectively. Comments. Our department discourages multiple signs that can be seen from the same point of view. These duplicative signs are both unnecessary and contribute to visual clutter. As the building's main signage on the north elevation and the sign on the west elevation will be visible at the same time to those traveling eastbound along Main Street, the west elevation sign is unnecessary and should be removed. Recommendation. For the reasons stated above, we recommend the board deny the request for the wall sign on the west elevation. Voting reporting requirements. If the board acts contrary to our recommendation, the law requires that it do so by a majority plus one of the full membership of the board, and that notify us the reasons for its decision. Owen Rafter, Commissioner, by Janet Tissier, your planner. Okay. So the upshot is, why do you need the sign on the west elevation that's right next to, I guess it's the old Majestic Printing?
Which one is the west elevation, which sign, the Planet Wings, or you're saying?
Yeah,
Or-
as
or the Pizza
you're
Pita
facing the building on the right side.
facing the building,
From Main
right
Street.
side?
From Main
On
Street.
Main Street.
Yeah.
Well, they're two different businesses, like Planet Wings is
No, on the side, in the alleyway,
in the alleyway.
that's the west side.
Oh, that's the west side we're talking about.
Correct.
It's just, that one we were just wanting to distinguish, as you're coming in, you can see Planet Wings, it's branding, it's a difficult spot to begin with, like, they just did it as a design part to add a cool feeling to the building. It's just what the designers do and what the franchise is going towards.
Okay.
It's just difficult, we're rebranding, it's a new logo, and it's just,
Okay. Christine, any questions?
I was just going to comment about the west side, because when we went for our site visit, you really couldn't see the west side of the building until you were right in front of it and saw Planet Wing sign that would be in front, so it seems
well,
unnecessary.
a lot of entrances from the back, like, we're just trying to distinguish the two businesses. So a lot of people will be parking in the back side, and there is no sign on the back door, where I thought that should be flipped around over there, where you can see it from 44, from 4455. That to me would be more, but they just want to do that for the franchise and design.
That's my only
Yeah.
question.
Okay.
That's the west side.
Paul?
Is there any entrance on the west side?
No.
And on the drawing, it looks like, is there a proposed sign on, I don't know where that would be. You have some sort of monument sign proposed?
Yeah, it's in the parking lot, towards Popeyes and that mailbox. There's a post office box, and that's our monument sign.
To the back.
And everything else complies, directionals, we're not asking for any extra on that. It's just to really distinguish the two businesses, because one's old and, one's new. And we try to keep them as minimal as possible.
On the north side, how many entrances do you have?
North side's Main Street,
Yes.
there's one and a patio, that's Planet Wings. And then on the other side, you have the entrance to Pizza Pita.
There's an entrance, two entrances on the north side, on the Main Street side?
Well, it's kind of two entrances. There's one door that goes into Planet Wings, and there's a garage door. There's a patio with a garage door, which becomes an open concept restaurant. So one side is Pizza Pita, one side is Planet Wings. The basic Planet Wings is where the metal design, that's only Planet Wings, and the rest, the corner and the back and the side is Pizza Pita. But there is technically two entrances, one for every day. When the garage door's open, it's an open patio concept.
If the garage door is down, how do you?
Through the Planet Wings side. It's just Planet Wings. That door is 24/7, like, full-time. And the other one's just when the restaurant's open.
Is there any way that you give us a rendition of Planet Wings that does comport with the area requirements?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a rendition of the Planet Wings that's within the 15 square feet?
No, I don't.
How about the pizza one? Is there a way to get that within the 15 square feet?
I'd have to see, because it's already kind of delicate and small. I don't know if it's gonna go that,
Okay.
it's.
And On the plans, it looks like it's about 5 or 6 feet from the sidewalk at the front of the building. Is that correct on the Main Street side?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay. Art?
No, I agree with Christine. That west side sign, I mean, you're not going to see it unless you're in the alleyway.
We tried. We drove along Main
That's where you
Street.
parked right there.
And
so did I. You
the
can't.
first time that we could see it,
You have to.
because of the corner of the old Majestic
Right.
printing,
It's
you-
blocked.
at that point, you could see the whole front of the building, and you could see both.
Yeah.
Signs.
Originally, we had a design of just our red chicken, a whitewash, like, design, and planning shot it down. So we want some representation when you're walking on Main Street. We had a bigger, just like part of the painting thing, and they had a problem with that. So we're trying, you know,
I mean, for the life of me, when we were out there, we could not figure out why you had a sign on the west side, but none in the back.
yeah. Well,
Because you've got an entrance back there.
But they've got the
if we
monument
can
sign.
put it to the back, it makes more sense.
I mean, what I would propose is we approve the other three signs, because I don't, people can speak for themselves, but I didn't have a problem with the north side and the east side.
Okay.
I do have a problem with the west side, and then would invite you to come back with, a new application that, for something in the rear. Because right now, there's just a door, and,
Yeah.
to where?
Okay, I'll have them rework it.
Now, I don't, were you planning to have something on the door itself?
Not enough to draw attention. Just our logo on with the hours. It's not, I could definitely see this being better. I'd have to talk to my partner Franco and the design people, but I'd rather,
Okay.
if we get the other three, that's a non-issue, and then we proposed that's there because it makes more sense. If you guys are telling me to do that, I'll do it.
Jim,
So,
Yeah.
can we also have more than one proposal? Was it 15 square feet?
just as long, hold on, just as long,
couple
I'm
of-
sorry to cut you off before, just as long as it doesn't bring me back in front of planning, that he'll have an issue with the sign. Because, because I don't want to go down that road with Eric, and I've been there for too long. So,
We're the nicer board.
I see that already. I'm sorry, I just didn't want to lose my train
No,
of thought.
as Paul said, can you give us a rendition of what's allowed by code?
Okay,
And then maybe the next one up, so you don't come in with just one big sign. If you
Okay.
have two renditions, it's easier
so you
for
want
us.
to see something, if we can get 15?
Something, yeah, something.
And then propose
Because you're
something
gonna have a
on the
monument
back.
sign in the back along the arterial anyway, you said, right?
No, along the arterial, we don't. We put our monument sign on the front, by Main Street.
Oh, I thought you said it was gonna be
Yeah.
back
So-
by Popeyes. Oh,
There's going to be,
Popeye's
sign
exit, actually.
I think there's a directional sign back there.
Yeah, we have a directional sign,
Okay.
6 square feet, no extra.
Yeah.
There.
my misunderstanding, but yeah, if you could do two renditions,
Okay, we could talk about
it would help us.
Put something on the back, and I'll see if we can scale it down to the 15 or
That'd be a big
where
help.
it's at.
If he scales it down to 15, then he doesn't necessarily have to come back and see us, right? I
Well,
mean,
or something like,
down to-
we normally we've always asked for three signs.
Right. No, but I'm saying that
The
if-
next one up and then the big one.
But I'm saying if
Right.
he removes the sign on the west, or we don't approve the sign on the west side, and it's
We
his
would-
prerogative to come back in for a sign on the south side, which you suggested, which I think makes sense. But if he
It's allowed.
applies for a sign that's conforming on the
Fine.
south side, he may not need,
Well, it'd still be.
although it would still
two
be a
men-
second sign, you're right,
And
never mind.
I think that the plan
County
wings
would-
is too big anyway, so.
Yeah. Okay, Tony, you have anything?
I'd just be reiterating what's been said.
Okay. Phyllis?
No questions.
Okay. Anything else? I mean, I think this makes sense.
I'm
We did go back there and clearly you're gonna have people parking back there.
Yep.
And almost always you wanna have, the destination where they're gonna be
course.
walking to and.
Yeah, I agree with it. I'm just, like I said, I'll clear with my partner and the design people, but I think it's a smarter move, and I'm glad
No.
you guys are.
Just to clarify on something, because are these two different businesses?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, one's two different phone numbers, two different everything. One's, sit down.
Now, do you
dine
own
in.
both of them?
Yes.
You do, okay. So that's one of the
Yeah,
unifying.
but they are treated as two different businesses. One's a franchise and one's not. Planet Wings is a franchise, so that has to continue what it's been. The Pizza Bita is it's just an addition. We're adding the pizza and craft beer bar and waitress service.
Okay.
So it's the evolution of Planet Wings, but Planet Wings is still the franchise.
Okay, but from a legal point of view, it's two businesses?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. It wasn't clear.
Yeah, it confuses me too.
Okay, again, it doesn't appear to be any public clamor. So is there a motion?
Before you close
Yeah.
I'm not inclined to grant the area variance on the Planet Wings signs. So keeping in mind the county's concerns, there's only 6 of us tonight. If that changes whether you want to close the hearing.
Okay. All right, so I guess,
You'd have to give 5.
right.
Right.
So, or is there anyone else that would deny this based on the size of the 3 signs on the north and east facades?
Not I.
Are you okay with it?
Okay with it.
Okay, I'm all right with it.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we.
Okay, so those are fine as is?
Think we can go ahead, yeah. All right, so,
Perhaps not.
all right, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, so we'll go back and we will do these in the order, so we're done?
All right.
Okay. Okay, item number 1, a determination that the present non-conforming sign will be replaced with a sign of similar or less non-conformity. This is an unlisted action, and there's a short form EAF that's been included. So I move that the ZBA declare itself lead agency for the purposes of the environmental evaluation of application number 1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. I further move that the ZBA finds that based on the information included in the EAF short form, that the action proposed in item number 1 will have no significant impact on the environment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, so I believe where we are is we have this determination to which we will add the following condition, that the reader board proposed in the drawing for the new sign be replaced with a solid color panel. I believe that's what we had.
You could just make the color subject to approval.
Oh, and,
But I thought he was going to match the color of the.
Right, so, and as long as it is, that's great.
Yeah.
But I just like it to be
okay,
something we could look at.
okay, all right, and that the color be subject to the approval of the Director of Municipal Development.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. All right, so is everybody okay with this? Mm-hmm. Okay,
So didn't you just make a finding that it's, with that condition, it's less non-conforming? And that's what our.
right, okay, so, let me move as follows. The zoning board determines that the proposed Wendy's sign with the removal of the reader board constitutes a non-conforming sign that is of similar or less non-conformity than the existing sign, and that therefore the proposed sign as modified is permitted.
Second.
Okay, and this then is substantially, I believe, in agreement with the county's recommendation. It's not completely, but it's a considerable way. Okay, so the motion for the ZBA determination has been made. Was there a second?
Second.
I think, okay. All right, any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Recusals? Okay. Item number 1 is approved, 6-0. All right, item number 2, Danny Patrizzo, I'm sorry. Okay.
Do we not have?
Yeah, 830 Main Street. Okay, this now would be 3 variances to allow. 1, a wall sign on the north elevation of 18.08 square feet, where 15 square feet is allowed. 2, a second wall sign on the north elevation of 36 square feet, where only 1 wall sign of 15 square feet is allowed. 3, a wall sign of 18.08 square feet on the east elevation, where only 1 wall sign of 15 square feet is allowed. Okay, so in other words, the 3 signs, but we're not allowing the sign on the west elevation. Okay, again, this is an unlisted action, so I move that the ZBA declare itself lead agency for the purposes of the environmental evaluation of application number 2.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I further move that the ZBA determines, based on the information in an EAF short form, that the application, that the action in item number 2 will have no significant impact on the environment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So, again, actually, now that I think about it, we are in agreement with the county's recommendation, which was to eliminate the west sign. So in fact, there's not the zoning.
They didn't have any objection to the size?
No,
No,
surprisingly.
no.
Okay.
They just said they didn't like the west side. Okay, so there's, let's see. So we need a formal motion. Okay, Christine, you want to do that?
Do you want to do the findings?
The
Findings.
We need findings?
Oh, the findings. No, I don't, but I guess I better. I gotten spoiled by Mike's staff reports. Okay. 1, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby property. The board finds that the 3 signs in this application are not out of character in the neighborhood. The bank, when it existed there, had multiple signs on the building, as do other freestanding signs. The board notes that one of the things that makes this different is that this is a freestanding building, and it will have entrances on 3 different sides. Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue. There's really no alternative but to label the different entrances with signs. And in this case, the fact that there are two separate businesses requires additional signage, and there's no other way to achieve that. 3, whether the requested area variance is substantial. The multiple signs certainly is substantial, although we believe in this case justified. The board notes that the 2 Pizza Bureau signs are fairly close to what's required by code, and that the Planet Wings sign, well, substantially larger, is not dissimilar to other signs along Main Street. 4, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions, the board finds that there will be no environmental impact. And 5, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, the board finds that it is self-created, particularly in light of the fact that 2 businesses are going into the same structure, but this does not preclude the granting of the variances. I move that the board adopt those as its findings.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
Okay. All right, so the motion itself.
Okay. I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 2. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth by the chair.
Second.
Don't you have to, I'm sorry, don't you have to modify remove the west?
No, because the motion
the
was to
finding?
grant grant only 3 variances, or variances for 3 signs. So the resolution will note that the variance on the west side was not part of the motion.
Okay. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Recusals? Okay, adopted 5-1. All right, that brings us to the end of the agenda. There's no other.
We didn't do Wendy's. Nobody read Wendy's approval.
Yeah, we did.
We
Yeah,
did?
yeah.
Yeah,
Leaving?
Well, sleeping, you know.
Okay, never mind.
okay. All right, if there's no further business before us, is there a motion to adjourn?
So move. We gotta get to the train station.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Who read it?
We are adjourned.